Everybody, it's Cory with WebFX. You know him all over the place on Facebook, everything. Thanks for being on the show today.
Absolutely. Thank you, John.
We're talking before we hit record about a bunch of things. We want to make it easy today. We want to make it simple for people to understand. Even though co-founder tech company, not a tech guy. I'm not a tech guy. I don't really understand and I don't really, it's not my thing. I don't love doing it, but I do want to grow businesses. And when I grew my roofing business, I knew I had to understand technology. So Cory, thanks for being on today. We're in 2026 now. We're recording now. What is going to be different for contractors that you're looking at? What do they need to be focused on? Let's just break it down to 3 to 5 different things. What are you seeing so far and moving forward? And what people always want more leads. They always want to understand like where their customers are coming from, the lead source. But what are you seeing as it relates to, if I'm a contractor, I'm looking for an agency that I can trust. What are you seeing and what makes WebFX different?
Yeah, and appreciate that. So I would say, the top priority is when you're looking for an agency is make sure that they're good at what they do and they're doing it for themselves. If they're not showing up for what they offer, that could be a problem. Okay. But going into 2026, I think one of the key things is it's a little bit changing as things are getting even more technical, but AI and the AI engines, your ChatGPTs, Perplexity, Gemini, and all those are getting even more robust and even more important than they were last year because more and more people are using them. So making sure that you're having a strategy for that going into 2026 and getting that implemented, because we're going to be discussing some things that are going to be really impactful for a lot of the home service industry, from all of them, from HVAC, roofing, all of them. But I think really is making sure that you have a strong SEO. I think that's the biggest thing that's been changing since 2025 is your organic presence now is more important than ever. SEO isn't dead. It was reborn, at a 5.0. PPC has gotten just so convoluted and so distractive and just so competitive that it's really making it hard for a lot of contractors to win in PPC if they don't have a strong SEO. So I think your digital presence is going to be even more important as 2026 has begun and ongoing. A lot of companies have lived off of the door knocking. A lot of people don't want to be harassed like that, but it's still going to be a useful tool. I'm not saying it's dead, but I think homeowners are getting more educated on what to do. If I have 5 people come to knock on my door, how can I pick which one is the best? And that's where the AI engines come into play. And that's going to be one key thing that I'm going to discuss a little bit more as we dive into this. But I would say that, making sure AI is part of your strategy. Okay. That's number one. Making sure that you have an agency that just didn't pick this up because they couldn't make something else work. Make sure that they've been doing SEO for a long period of time. Making sure that you have a full digital strategy and making sure that it matches your door-to-door if you're doing door-to-door, okay? Because there's a lot of things that you can do to make sure that your online presence is kind of working with your door-to-door. So I'd say those things right there are going to be the key things that are going to separate, we call them the chuck and the trucks, and those companies that want to be 2.5, 3 million and above, or those ones that are even 50 million, how they can even get another piece of the pie or another market.
Yeah, it's 100% true. Homeowners are becoming more educated. It's great though, because they're choosing the right kind of contractors. The contractors that are watching and listening to this, they understand I actually value a premium service. I actually value the quality that you're actually bringing. Is you don't just use it on your website, and the details matter. Again, not a tech guy. I'm not a detail guy, but I know that this all matters. And I never door knocked, but if let's say 3 people door knock on somebody's house. Well, if they see the logo, they're going to Google that or use ChatGPT or another AI engine to search that company. You need to make sure that your details, all your T's are crossed, I's are dotted, and you are actually a positive influence in a positive direction to make a decision towards your company. That's just one example of people have they view websites as an afterthought. They view SEO as an afterthought. Let's talk about organic just in general. We can talk about blog posts and optimizing your all your copy on your website. There's all kinds of technical things that my wife loves to do, all that stuff. She does it for other companies. And I see her optimizing different things. Do you guys touch on I'm not really familiar. Do you guys touch on any kind of social media presence, or what do you recommend on social media? Because I see a lot of organic coming from people's putting their face on video for their website and their social media platforms. Are you seeing that as being a huge, because I it was really it worked really well for our roofing company.
Mhm.
Name to face, humanization of the company. We got a ton of leads that way. What are you seeing as it relates to that kind of content?
I I mean, we all know content is king, but I think video is what makes you king. To be honest. I think having a homeowner see the face, or if you have that person that's going to knock on doors, doing a quick video as they're driving to that neighborhood and checking into that neighborhood. So now those homeowners can potentially see your information and see this person's real, who they are. They're not just randomly coming and knocking. They've got a plan, and really educating that homeowner on why they're coming to that, maybe that neighborhood. I think that that's more important now than ever. And I mean, it's even in any searching that you do, they even recommend just take your phone. You don't have to have a high
Mhm.
production and all that. iPhones now can almost do as good a video as some of these, big time cameras. So it's just making it personal, but it is extremely impactful for your organic presence in Facebook. I mean, I think you can do your regular posting, your words, and let them read it, but are, the people today have gotten a little bit lazy, and sometimes they don't wanna read, but if there's a video that's attached to it, speaking to what the content might be written, they can do that, but then
Yeah.
have a closed ca so it's definitely extremely important these days.
I just think people wanna buy from people, and that's never changed. And, they may look at a brand and trust a brand and see reviews, but at the end of the day, they wanna connect with at least one person on and to be able to trust that one person to take care of them. That's never changed. Human behavior doesn't change that way. They talk about reviews, though, like, what are you seeing? You mentioned before we hit record, we talked about you're gonna have to educate me because it's been a year since I sold my business. So talk to me about Google Business Profile, if it's even called that now, and talk to me about the 4 quote situation in certain markets. Talk about all that because I think that's really important too. People may not know, like I don't know. Let's talk about just Google in general and that kind of aspect of your business.
Yeah, so Google Business Profile, that is what it is extremely important. Reviews are always gonna be important, but what is very key, and I it's been whispered throughout the Google community that it's gonna eventually be to where they can actually take your reviews and match it to what's in your system to see if it's a real client. They're gonna get granular with that. So it's very important to make sure that you are getting consistent, real reviews from people that have actually received a service from you.
Time out. This brings up a great point that I've been seeing floating around about the negative reviews that are false reviews. Are in the whisperings of the Google people, are there thoughts of some sort of kind of stopping to this behavior? Because if it's not a real client, is there a way in the future that we're going to be able to stop this? Because it's happening all over the country where people are becoming, what do they call it? Like hostages, like pay me
Yeah.
$5,000 or we're going to keep writing more reviews. That kind of things. I mean, it happened to me, but it was years ago, and now it's happening all the time.
Yeah,
What are you seeing with that?
I see it a lot as well, and I think that's why some of these companies have, come up that can remove that, especially if you have context that shows that, "Hey, we'll remove this if this,"
Yep.
or if you're getting any context with that, there's companies that can do that for a very
For $1,000, by the
Yeah.
way, a review, because I had to pay. I
Yeah.
had 3 reviews that were totally fake, not real customers, and I genuinely care about every review that we ever did, and we had to pay $1,000 a review to get them removed, and it's like, they know, like, it could have been a competitor, it could have been who we don't really know who it was, but at the end of the day, that's an expense that most people can't afford. If you got hundreds of those, it's really, really ridiculous.
I would say I would see Google doing, I mean, because reviews are so important to even the AI world, because
Mm-hmm.
it pulls from those.
Yep.
So those bad reviews from people that you've never even done work for, they just don't like you because you're in their market. I can see that coming to tuition. But I do know that they're gonna start cracking down on reviews. But it's also like you have companies, they'll have 5, 10,000 reviews, but they haven't had a review in a month.
Yeah.
That's where being consistent and how many reviews you have that are fresh, because that's what's going to be feeding the, Google AI overview and all these, other answer engines, so to speak. But you also mentioned the for quote request, request a quote. So this is something that Google has been testing in certain markets. They haven't been doing it a lot, but it should be completely rolled out. I would say probably by second or third quarter of this year. But what it does is up in the LSA area, that's a very top part of a search engine when you're looking for a service, and it'll say, get a quote. So you click on that and you fill out almost like a form fill of everything you're looking for, your geography, all that. Then what Google does is it scans Google AI is scanning everything to find the top 4 companies that it recommends, not the people that are spending the most, not the people that, have always been at the number 1 in LSAs and all that, but who are customers talking about? Who is the most trusted? Who is more community? Who's the closest to that? And then what it's doing, it's sending out 4 quotes to those top 4.
That's amazing.
And yeah, and it's going through because it goes through Messenger. So it's going to be whoever, calls them first, gives them the best, service, whatever it is. But then it's the same thing like the LSA is after you do that is categorizing it, is marking it as appointment set or whatever. It's going to be game changer. I mean, imagine what it's going to do to the people that don't like Angie's or Home Advisor
Yeah.
or Thumbtack or any of these. It's taking the place. Now, they are testing it for right now, all 4 people pay for the lead, okay? But it's not like 2 or 300, it's whatever the LSAs, typically cost in that
Yeah.
market. But if you're not taking advantage of making sure you have a strong AI SEO and you're making sure that you're being seen on Gemini, ChatGPT, and all of these, being trusted, timely, local, all these things, you're not going to be an option, even if you've always been number 1 in LSAs.
It's
So,
exciting for me because when I started my business more than 10 years ago, I was the new guy. And there were 2 huge competitors. We had a bunch of little chucking trucks, but 2 humongous, very big companies. And I was able to do things like this, not this. Obviously, this is even more exciting.
Here's how roofers make it home for dinner every single night without losing a single sale, even when they're one-man shows. Automate your communication with ProLine, the only communication-first CRM for roofers. Because when you fix your communication, you'll sell more jobs. Your weekends will smell more like sunscreen and backyard barbecues than that crappy gas station coffee. And all you got to do is ask these roofers.
Where we had about 200% growth, and I attribute that to incorporating ProLine.
But just with one automation, I was able to get 25 Google reviews.
It's been absolutely insane how quickly we were able to grow.
Now, ProLine's not going to win the beauty pageant, but it will save your Saturday. Now, back to the show.
So being able to compete in any market at any market size, my market is pretty small, but like, if you're starting a business or you're a new business, been in business for a few years, and there's all these behemoths they've always been number 1, like you said, that always have way more reviews. This is fun for me to hear because now it's an effort game. Right. If you're going to put forth the effort and partner with the right marketing agency to help you win, this is a competition. We're trying to win. The customer can't choose 2 roofers. So you can just put more effort on these types of things. The way customers are buying your service, all you do is put more effort. That's what I did, is we just put more effort in Google Guaranteed in all of our organic. I mean, our website was it looked like our website was like all the other websites in our markets were horrific. And we just put a lot of effort, a lot of energy and not just the quality of the website, but we cared about the details because we cared about our customers. Now it's just, I love this because now it's just working harder in a smarter way. I love this because now you can just be strategic about thinking about how your customers buy, and then you can be included in those 4. And I would pay all day long. I'd be one of the 4. If I can be one of those 4 people all day long, your acquisition cost is much, much lower in that scenario versus paying a marketing agency. Unless you're a larger company, it's very cost inefficient to pay for PPC. You see this every day. It is you want your acquisition cost to be less than $1,000, and a lot of people, it's not. It doesn't mean that you can't make it happen, but in general, if you're paying an LSA price for all those leads, you're winning. You're winning a lot better because you can close at a lower rate, even though obviously you want to be at a high close rate, but your acquisition cost is still low. So this is actually very exciting that you can compete with the big players in your markets.
I would say, to kind of put this in another way is that get 4 quotes is almost like another tool in your tool belt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And imagine, and you've been doing roofing for years. How long did it take you to do a roof if you had to use a hammer and a nail? And then when you had the air guns and all that and the equipter and all these other tools, it took you a lot longer to grow. Without having AI and SEO and being part of this, it's almost like you're willing to stay back in the hammer and nail day.
Yes.
And
I love
those
that.
people, I mean, how many roofs can you do with an air gun compared to how many you can do with hammer and nail? I mean, it's probably can get 1 a day to 2 a day. So it's that same thing. It's how much market share do you want? What other tools can you put into your marketing strategy to get you where you're looking to go? And that's where I think that a lot of people, they just get scared, because it's new. I mean, I remember when the seatbelt came out. I hated wearing the seatbelt, but now it's normal. And this is so new where a lot of people are fighting it, but these are the people that are closing their businesses.
Yep.
I mean, I've been hearing a lot of companies, even in Florida, big PE companies shutting doors down because they're not engulfing and bringing in all of these tools to give the roofing contractor the best way to be competitive. And if you're not jumping on this train now, I mean, I've seen the train that goes through Florida 120 miles an hour. You ain't jumping on that from a dead stop. And that's what a lot of these roofing companies are banking on is I'll do it later when it's a little bit, more there. They're not going to be able to.
Yeah, it's very true. You're talking to a guy who didn't really care about scaling a massive business. I cared about profit on every single job. It was very important to me to make the most profit dollars to provide the premium service for our customers. Our customers had a 5-star experience every time. That's me. So if you're listening, watching this, you may be that's me. What I'd challenge you to say what Cory is saying is true. You can't really afford to do that anymore. You have to start growing at a higher rate, a faster rate, and you have to use tools like this, which means you got to kind of think outside the box and do more work. It's just more work. It's just not sweating on a roof. It's a different kind of work to educate yourself on what we're talking about and to actually execute what we're talking about on a consistent basis, and to partner with people like WebFX, because I'm not gonna be able to do it myself, but you want to trust the right people to do this because the world has changed. It's been changing for the past 10 years in the roofing space with technology. Just like what you said. I mean, I was 14 carrying 3 tabs and hand driving nails. That took forever to nail those roofs.
Mm-hmm.
So much easier now, so much better, faster. We are able to do 2 roofs a day now. My crews would do 2 roofs a day because they have all the equipment now. This is the next iteration of that. As a contractor, as a business owner, you have to embrace this or you will get left behind. The train analogy is exactly right.
Yeah.
It is. This is not just changing, roofing. This is changing the world in a massive way, and it's happening so fast. You better get on the train because it's going to leave the station.
And the other thing is, that I hear a lot when speaking to a lot of, roofing companies daily is it's expensive.
Yeah.
The cost of doing this is expensive, but the bigger question is, what is the cost of not doing it? Not doing this now could cost you your business. It could cost you your employees not being able to, have enough hours to work or whatever it is. It is a cost. Okay. Everything's a cost, but looking at it as a long-term investment, just like with people with the Bitcoin and all this stuff, you're not putting it in there to think you're going to be instantly rich. It is a long-term gain. And that's where a lot of contractors fall. And I always tell them this, it's like, just because you can put a roof on in a day, you can't expect your marketing to work in a day.
Yeah.
And you got to invest in it for the long-term gain and be part of that team to help, because it's not going anywhere. I mean,
No.
everybody's been saying it forever, and Google isn't going anywhere. It's just becoming smarter and it's adapting. Now are the contractors willing to adapt with it?
Yep. We worked in quarters in a year. That was really easy. That was an easy bite to take off. We wanted to work in a 3-month period to see, here's our goals. But we also worked in annual goals, right? Almost everybody does annual goals.
Yeah.
I think all business owners need to extend out their expectations for things. Something like a 3-year goal and then a 5-year goal for something like this. You need to think that way. You need to think in the short term, obviously the day goal, the week goal, the month, the quarter, the year. But if you want to stay in business, think about how old you are right now, and then think about 3 years from then and really envision what you want your life to look like. Not just your business, but your entire life. Do you want to still be in business? Do you want to hit not just revenue goals, but like, what's your team look like? What's their day look like? This is one of those things where you're like, that feels expensive. But if you're really thinking that way, we never regretted these kind of decisions as a business. It was always a good investment because you can trust the wrong people. Don't get me wrong, you can do that.
100%.
But when you're thinking like that in a longer than a year term, you understand, I want to achieve these goals for myself and my family and my team. You'll win because it will seem like nothing as far as the financial investment of anything like this. I did lots of things that were very expensive that people thought I was crazy about, but they paid off because I knew I didn't want to just sell my business after 2 years or 3 years. I wanted to actually grow something that was real and valuable so that I was able to sell it at any time I wanted to. And that's, even though you may never sell your business or may never want to sell your business, you need to build. I will say this, I've said this several times on other different platforms. You have to build a business to be able to sell, whether you never sell it at all, because one day you will sell that business. You'll either die or you'll give it to your kids or you'll retire. You're going to sell the business one day. You
Yeah.
don't want to be the guy who has to just close the doors because there's no real value. And what we're talking about right now brings real value. If you're able to have a real strong online presence, a predictable lead flow, this is what it is. This is what it's all about. You talked about the PE companies. Some of them struggling, some of them doing really well. Guess what? The ones that are doing really well, they have these kind of strategies in place where they can predict and have repeatable practices of things like this. This is what's important. And again, you don't have to sell to PE. You don't have to sell to anybody else, but you have to build a business like this if you want to survive.
100%. And, a lot of the PE companies, when you look at the ones that they buy, of course, they want to try to get what they can and not pay as least amount as possible.
Sure.
But a lot of them are buying companies that don't have a strong online presence and then have to sink a lot of money into it.
Yep.
So if I'm a roofing company and I'm building it to sell it down the road, even if I don't, but I want to build it to where, because in it, I'm building something, I'm building a legacy. Am I going to get more for it if I have a strong AI presence, mapping section, core SEO, all of those, because I can monetize and know exactly what I can predict what I'm getting, where with paid advertising, you can't.
No.
If you're just doing just paid, okay, that's enough. But when you build a online presence, I haven't heard of anybody saying I got less for my business when I had a strong organic presence. So
Yep.
don't you think it would be important? And how much more could you get for your company for that if you had to invest a little bit more in your SEO and your stuff right now? SEO is not that turn it on and go. And I hate
No.
that analogy. I hate, because every marketing company says that. But there is a lot of work that goes into it. But the reward when you stay consistent with it for that 12-month and 24-month is insane.
Yep.
You
Couple different things that you're making me think about right now. So we talked about the PE companies. These smart guys with money, they think, here's an opportunity. This company doesn't invest in all the things you just talked about, the online presence, the SEO, all those things. Well, we have money. We can just put the money in there and it'll work. And it doesn't work that way. You have to be working with someone, with a team who actually understands your market and understands how to actually implement this and execute it. It's very important. We know because we've all been burned by somebody who just says, oh, just throw money at it. It'll work. It doesn't work that way. And we're talking about, tens of millions of dollars of people who are trying to risk and they think that they're right and they're wrong. So I want to make that point really clear.
Yeah.
You can't just throw money at it and it's just going to work. It takes time and it takes the correct strategy with the correct people. That's the first thing. The other thing that I was thinking about was, you're talking about as you grow this business, and using PPC versus organic, and made me think about my business in general. We did do some PPC certain points during our roofing business decade. We did.
Mhm.
We're in a really small market. It just wasn't a right fit for us. So we did organic strategy most of the time. When I sold my business, we had 0 PPC. We weren't doing PPC and we hadn't been doing any paid ads at all for years. And it was very attractive because we had a strong brand. And so we had a strong brand that was getting leads from organic. It was effort. We were filming for 3 hours every Thursday to create content.
Right.
It was definitely effort, but it wasn't just, this is going to throw some paid ads in here and get some more leads. There was a lot of strategy behind what we were doing to get those new customers every single month. So again, this is somebody who sold their business. I know there's a lot of people that have PPC that sell it, but you are exactly right, Cory. The people that invest in the organic get more multiples and more value for their business if they invest in the organic side of things and the content side of things versus, hey, we just spend X amount of dollars per month on ads and this is what comes out. And our conversion rate's really good. Like, that's not very valuable to an investor because it's not necessarily predictable. Some of that's related to storms. Some of that's related to the market going up and down. If you have an organic, strong presence, you are more valuable as a business in general.
Yeah, because the key piece to that is, we said it, is SEO is time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if I'm a PE group and I'm buying a company that's already put the time, the work ethic and everything in and has a strong organic presence, I can invest in other things to grow the business.
Yes.
And I don't have to wait for their SEO to ramp up once I take it over. So if I'm that, I want somebody, like, it would almost be mandatory if I'm a PE company, you got to have a strong organic presence first, because
Yes.
I would much rather come in, let's invest in other paid advertising, let's invest in whatever it is, more trucks on the road, whatever.
Sure.
If I can take that 200,000, whatever it is that it would cost to get that all ramped up in my organic presence and put it into other channels, who wouldn't want that? But nobody, I truly haven't met a roofing company that has that thought when they're looking at PE.
Yep.
I just haven't. Most of them, because I look at all the companies that PE companies have bought and all of their organic presence is just garbage.
It's over and over again. You got to have the right people working consistently in the right ways to make that actually work. And people just don't like it. I get it. Most guys that I talk to that own businesses now, they're either sales reps or they were production guys. Most of them. There's some accounting guys in there that understand numbers, but in general, none of them like this stuff. None of them, they think it's all garbage and it's like, oh, it's too much work and it costs too much money. It's like, but you're actually building something. The crazy thing is, like, you're actually building something that's real. When you build content and organic on your online presence, you're building a real thing
Yeah.
that really does result in the results that you want. And it's really difficult to communicate that because we just want to sell roofs. We just want to build roofs. We just want to sell roofs. That's about 40% of the business. That's about it. It's not the whole business. People have built, they've made a lot of money doing that, but they have no real asset when it comes to it. You've seen it too. I've seen 10, 20, 30, $50 million companies tank because they don't build the real asset, which is what we're talking about right now.
Absolutely.
All right. So we're solving problems. We're trying to help people make the right decisions as it comes to their business. What are some other things that you see as far as some activities or think of a client that you have or just some clients that are doing the right things right now. What are you seeing them do? What does that look like? What is the right decisions when your customer at WebFX? What are they doing? What are they doing that's different? What have they changed in their mentality and their actual process?
And it's funny, you mentioned it a little bit earlier, is getting them to be more forward thinking, and not thinking of how things were last year and the year before, and understanding that if you can't do the same thing you did last year in your marketing and advertising and expecting a greater return.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's a very volatile market. Roofing is very competitive. So really getting them to understand that they need to change and getting them to open up and really see what that can look like. Getting them to go into some of the AI engines and start doing some research and asking, hey, who's the most trusted roofing company that's local, blah, 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 blah. And then that comes up. And then getting them to go, hey, I own this company. Why did I not show up? So getting them to understand why they don't. So then that's what we build is a strategy to make sure that happens. So really, you got to touch it, feel it. And marketing is not something you can really touch and feel, but getting them to go into some of these AI engines and really start asking it the what, the why, the who, and all of those, and then getting them to dig in. Why am I? Why am I not? Why am I? And just really starting to do that. And it really gets them to understand what a homeowner looks at.
Yep.
You mentioned something earlier also about, with door knocking. I know was it 2024, we had a semi hurricane that almost came through where I live. Didn't really do any damage in Melbourne, but I had 3 people come and knock on my door and 2 days afterwards. Me as a marketing person, what I did, and don't think that homeowners aren't doing it now, I don't even have to type in the logo and the business name. I can take a picture of all 3 of those business cards and say, hey, chat, I want you to analyze these 3 companies and the employee.
Yep.
Tell me, who should I trust? Who should I go with? And why you're telling me to go with them. So getting our clients to understand the changing demographic and how people are utilizing it. And they're like, wow, okay, this isn't no snake oil. This is real. And getting them to understand that they have to have a company that understands it. I mean, we've owned an AI engine for 5 years. Okay. So we're not just somebody, hey, we weren't good at this, so we went into this. We really understand it and really dive into it. And that's where I think a lot of the contractors we talk to, work with, is understanding that we're forward thinking as well. And it's allowing us to test things out and them to trust in it.
Yep.
The biggest thing is trust. There ain't a roofing contractor that if you ask them with no cameras, hey, how do you feel about marketing companies? They don't trust us. Okay. Because it's not a touchy feely thing.
Sure.
And that's one thing with us is really getting them. I think the biggest thing that in 2026 is getting them to understand even more is the power of the integrations with CRMs and other tools to really understand where their client came from, everything and anything that you can find out about them and how to use that data. You know, the one thing that I hear a lot of contractors say is, yeah, we've got all this data, but what are you doing with it? But then we lay out a roadmap on what to do with that data and how it can benefit. That's what I think separates us a lot is at WebFX, they are very big on integrating with a CRM. I mean, they will even sometimes recommend if it's a CRM that we can't integrate with, we won't work with because there's just too much valuable information that makes marketing work with being properly integrated. So I'd say that's to answer your question is that.
I when I was using a pretty widely known, I'm sure they've changed the process since then, but this is a pretty big, widely well known years ago, 5-6 years ago, marketing agency, and they were getting leads. We're doing PPC, and we had, I mean, I was like pretty expensive for my little company for the ad spend that we're doing and the management, and their process was, looking back, was pretty crazy. We're using a Google Sheet, and all the new leads would come in that way, and we get an email. Somebody reached out, and we don't know how many minutes have passed
Right.
since the new lead. It was crazy because it was all manual. You pretty much just have to be sitting by your computer all day waiting for these leads so that you can put it into your CRM so that it's all, and then to know the leads. Like it was just not, it won't work today.
No.
You have to like a big thing. If you're a contractor and you don't know, you mentioned two things. I'll go back because this is actually really helpful. Know your ideal customer. Then do activities like you mentioned. You mentioned two things: taking pictures of cards if they're door knocking, or just in general, and using ChatGPT or some AI to search for the company and the employee in the company. Super helpful. That's actually very, very thoughtful of on your part of like what our customers are probably doing. Probably taking pictures of these things and searching for them. You need to make sure that you are just dominating that search.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is like, I just think about this daily. Every day, think about how your customer can, if they found you and how they're finding you. Is it a positive or a negative experience? Does it push them to you, or is it confusing in their mental hurdles and roadblocks and they don't know what to do? They don't know how to schedule an appointment. It relates to all the lead sources. Every way that you are present with trucks and yard signs and door hangers and door knocking and online presence, and are you using paid ads? Are you using Facebook? Make sure every single one of those lead sources has an instant response, if possible. It must be instant, and it must be coming from your company. It cannot be some random. If it's not helpful to the customer, they're not going to sign up for an inspection. They're not going to click a link and say, hey, I'd like to schedule an inspection on this schedule. It has to be 24/7, 365, instantly from every lead source. If you're not doing that, you're going to get left behind because everyone else is going to be doing that. By the end of this year, all of your competitors will be doing that. They will have some sort of instant response, and it'll be tied into their CRM. And the next day, when your office manager gets up and the first thing they see is that all these new leads came in their CRM, they don't have to go search for it in a Google Sheet. They don't have to go find it in different forms. It's all going to be in one place in their CRM, and it's already going to be assigned to a sales rep. The sales rep's already going to have it on their calendar, and you'll be moving forward like nothing ever happened, like you had a little helper, a little assistant that's just constantly there helping your business grow and helping those customers, most importantly, giving the customers a 5-star experience. We can talk about how great we are and like how great the software is and how great WebFX is. At the end of the day, think about your customer's experience and you will win. And if you're not doing that and not really caring about how they feel, or maybe you just need to change your perspective in general. Oh, they don't care. They do care. They expect it and they do care. You better have every lead source instantly responding in a very helpful way, and it better be linked directly into your CRM. Otherwise, the customer will go somewhere else. it's not going to be good enough. You're going to be frustrated. Why am I spending all this money with these agencies and all this? Because you're not executing what the customer wants. That's my biggest pet peeve. If you can't hear, it's like these guys complain because I can't, my close rate's bad. My conversion's bad. You're not doing the basics. That is a blocking, tackling move now. It may seem advanced and crazy. It takes different kind of work that's not sweating on a roof to ensure that every lead source that's online gets responded to instantly. And you give that customer what they want, which they want a roofer to respond instantly and give them an inspection calendar somewhere to get on the calendar. That's my rant for right now. It's crazy.
It's one thing that I speak a lot to when speaking to contractors, because it's something that, what is their speed to lead? And I use this, it's this funny video that I've seen on TikTok that kind of, the wife is asking the husband to take out the trash. And he goes, I'll get it in a couple minutes. And then she just lays into him, you lazy, blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
That's what homeowners are thinking when they reach out to you to do a service and you don't respond in a timely manner.
Yep.
You're talking to that wife that wants instant. And if you don't do it, they're going to go to the next one that does.
And they probably are watching water drip in their kitchen from the ceiling.
Yeah.
You better be responsive immediately.
Yeah.
And even if it's, you don't do emergencies. We never did emergency. Well, we rarely did emergency service. If you just give her 8 a.m., 9 a.m. the next day, she at least can be like, okay, ABC Roofing's coming tomorrow. At least I got something. I can put a bucket out tonight. It's 9:00 at night. I can at least see them when I wake up in the morning. At least I had that. And they're not going to reach out to your competitor. And even if they do, the competitor's not going to do instant response like you are, because you're going to win. And they're going to be frustrated with those other brands. And the other brands are going to call her back the next day at 11 o'clock and they say, ABC Roofing's already been here. They've already patched up my roof.
100%.
That's the expectation. That's the customer experience. That's what you have to do with the things that we're talking about right now. You have to give that experience because that's what the customers expect. They want that.
Yeah, it's so important, and it's going to continue to get more and more and more important because we are an instant gratification, people these days. And especially when something's like that, if you're not, then you're going to have that wife yelling, you lazy piece of, and go to somebody else.
Yep. They're going to be cussing at their phone, being like, why is it? I mean, I've tested it myself with other vendors, other home service vendors in my market. I have called 5 different vendors for the same service, got voicemail or nothing during business hours on a weekday. And I'm like, I just need to start this business because no one else is. I mean, literally that's the only speedily. If I just did that, I would beat all of them.
Yeah.
The one thing, speed to lead, instant response, AI instant response, not even a real person, just AI instant response for that one service in rank organically in this market. I'd beat all my competitors instantly. And I see that even with our customers. I called them out. I DM them like, what are you doing? You're not even using ProLine. Use it right now because I just called you. I called this one customer twice in one day. And I was like, what is going on, dude? Like you are losing business in hundreds of thousands of dollars by acting this way. Well, I just can't. You got to do it. You got to do it. There's no excuse. You will lose. You will lose. And by the end of this year, you will look back and you'll be like, what happened? Because everybody else is winning.
I'd say that's another thing that contractors are starting to get a little bit better at, but there's still a learning curve and they're trying to find the AI that does it for them. But is there follow-up? With us being integrated with, CRMs and being able to see, hey, your pipeline is 10 million. You've closed 1.5. What's up with that other? Don't say that we are doing, these are all qualified, leads that have came in and revenue that's tied to it based off of the service. What happened? Guarantee you a lot of it was the speed to lead, didn't follow up, or it could be a cost issue. And that's more training opportunity. But a lot of contractors don't realize the pipeline that is just sitting in their CRMs that they're not doing anything with, or they don't have a system and process in place to make sure that it's being followed up on.
Yep.
And it's all that speed to lead thing, which I think that's going to be the game changer for a lot of contractors, because pretty much everybody's prices, it might be a little bit higher, whatever. The low ones are just trying to just sell to sell, but price is price. It's going to
Yep.
come down to the customer relationship, the customer service, how quickly you respond, how quickly you get the job done. And all of those things is why you might be a little bit more expensive, and getting them to understand that, but understanding that pipeline and how to get better and closing that will make them a lot more money.
It's so true. It's the craziest thing for me is like watching. I was really good at sales follow-up. I mean, because I was trained in like the insurance world, and we just followed up until people came to our door with a shotgun. We never stopped until they told us to pound sand. We're calling you forever. I was really good at it, but I can't beat consistency. Even the most perfect sales rep can't beat what we have at ProLine, because there's no emotion, there's no windshield time, there's no roof inspections, there's no being in front of the customer. It's going to happen. The sales follow-up's going to happen. So we would sell jobs 12, 15, 17 months later after we send a proposal. We're like, no human's going to, they shouldn't be doing that. They shouldn't be calling, emailing, texting for a year and a half. That's a crazy amount of effort. You would just snowball into that's all you did all day. So just know that it works. People, it's January. They're going to get their tax returns soon. And they're like, I got these 3 quotes. This one company keeps texting and calling and emailing me. Doesn't matter if you're higher. We were the highest almost every time. As far as price goes, we gave a good, better, best option every single time. 3 options for the roof. We won. Our close rate was much higher than everyone else in our entire market, both markets. And we're the highest price one. Why is that even, that doesn't make sense. The reason is sales follow-up. The customer would say over and over and over again, I'm so sorry I haven't responded. I know that you gave me a quote last June. We haven't done anything with our roof. We're ready to move forward. Can you send me an updated proposal? They would apologize to us from an automation.
Yeah.
Because they know they have a problem. We have a solution. You need a roof. We can build roofs. I don't like that you're the most expensive, but no one else will call me back. The bar is so low. Just have these things in your business. Have them there, and customers will respond. And you won't have to put more manual effort into it because you have these tools. And to your point, we actually had somebody with $9 million of open quotes. You said 10 million and 1.5 close. They had $9 million of open quotes in the past 12 months. And after a lot of pushing and this is like just trying to help somebody out that we knew.
Right.
We put them in an old lead rehash campaign, and they sold, I think it wasn't 2 million. It was less than $2 million, but it's almost $2 million of business by literally putting the same exact customers they had sent quotes for in a consistent email and text campaign over a 6-month period. $2 million for doing nothing.
Yeah.
They'd already gone out and inspected the roof. They already given a proposal. They got updated proposal. It was $2 million.
It blows my mind, because I've used rehash when I used to run Window World of Richmond. And the only thing I added to them in 6 months was a rehash campaign. And Window World's windows are not expensive. But in 6 months, we closed $1.5 million in rehash windows just from adding the rehash.
Yep.
So it kind of speaking to that and what we've all been talking about. A lot of roofing companies don't invest in these things that can truly maximize. You've already paid for those leads.
Yes.
And have revenue to be in your pipeline. If your CRM already has that and it's part of what it does, and you're not utilizing it, And if it doesn't have it, then you need to leave your CRM and come over to ProLine. Just going to say that, but to not squeeze every penny that there is out of it, out of your marketing dollar, doesn't make any sense to me.
You're wasting money. You are flushing money down the toilet when you don't take it seriously like that. You either don't understand or you just simply don't care. And you can't do either one of those things. To survive, you can't.
They're just throwing money at marketing. Okay, they didn't close. I'll just throw more next month. Instead of thinking, hey, let me get the most out of this. I've already got the tools to do it. And if you don't, it's not expensive to have a rehash campaign built in. But to not do that with the way that the world is now in home service, and it's so competitive. I mean, a storm hits or freaking rainfall. The next day, there's like 10 roofing companies in a neighborhood. And you're spending that money for people to go out and do that. And then you're not following up. And you're leaving. I mean, heck, that was great how much that one closed. But man, even if you've already spent the money, you've moved on to the next month and you brought in an additional $50,000 a month from that. Why are companies not doing it? I don't know. Unless the marketing companies that they're working with don't think outside the box.
Yep.
And they're not utilizing and understanding exactly where the leads came from and having it fully integrated with the CRM. And there's a lot of them that don't, and they're just missing so much revenue for leads that they've already spent.
Yep. You mentioned it before. You talked about all these, your customers or your clients that are they have all this data, but they don't know what to do with it. What you guys do is help interpret that.
Yes.
Again, I'm not a tech guy. I don't know what to do with the data. I understand certain KPIs about different things, but like, what do I do with this data? What should I do if I have $10 million of open quotes? What am I supposed to do with it? Like, how do I actually execute a plan to make it make money for me? Like, that's what you guys do. And you have to understand, you have to care, and you have to understand how to do the thing and then have an actual plan to execute that knowledge. That's what you guys do well. And there's a lot of people who don't. They just don't any of those things.
And it's really understanding, like you said, what to do with it. In that 10 million, there's going to be several different reasons why they didn't move. Cost, time, or whatever it is. So making sure, or they wanted more quotes or whatever there was. So you have a different, customer for each of those. So setting up campaigns for ones that didn't close based off of price. Hey, maybe we have a special that's going out, whatever it is, and then the ones that getting more quotes or timing. Hey, is the time right? But having those campaigns where you're constantly staying in front of them because your CRM can do it. Your marketing agency should have that type of campaign built into what they're doing for you. Again, squeezing every dollar out of everything that you do is probably one of the biggest things that I see when speaking to contractors about their marketing.
Yep.
We're doing some SEO, we do some paid advertising. Well, what are you doing for the after that? How are you, following up and all those things? And it's missed.
Yeah. There's a lot of education. We've both obviously had a lot of conversations with a lot of contractors over the years about this, but if you're watching and listening to this, this is what it is. You need to educate yourself on what that looks like. And you may hear the term speed to lead, and that sounds crazy. You may hear the term sales follow-up, and that sounds crazy. You just got to do it. You got to learn about it and then do the thing. And you will increase the right numbers. You'll do those right things. You'll sell more jobs if you can do those two things. We talked about reviews in the past, like in the beginning of this conversation. Yes, get more reviews. You need to do all those things. You need to just scratching the surface of like, these are the blocking and tacklings in 2026, using a marketing agency on a platform like ProLine. You've got to do those things to be able to actually compete now, because your competitors will do it. And again, going back to, we talk about the stuff that we do. Think about your customer. Your customer wants you to use WebFX because WebFX cares about them indirectly or directly.
Right.
And I always think about that for our ProLine customers. Yes, we sell to contractors, but I think about their homeowners that they serve because that's what I did for so long. If you think about your customer's customer as talking to us, we can help you win as a contractor. We care about your customer's experience because we know that's what they want. They want their problem solved, and you have the solution to that problem. You just have to implement the right strategies and the right processes in your business with the right partners to actually make it happen. And you win. It's not easy, but it is simple. Educate and then execute what we're talking about, and you will win.
Absolutely. 100%.
We've solved all the world's problems today, Cory.
Yes, we have.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. Anything else before we go?
No, I think the last thing I would, is just kind of recap is what's so important is for 2026, AI is more important than ever, and it's going to continue to be. If you're not utilizing a AI SEO strategy, you need to ASAP, because you don't want to try to jump on that train when it's going full speed. If you wait until the end of 2026 to start implementing it, you're going to be fighting a very big uphill battle, and the cost that you'll have to spend to get up to where everybody else is going to be, sometimes it might be undoable, but getting on it now at some shape or form is going to be what separates you, from 4 to 6 months from now. So really implementing a strong AI digital strategy is what you've got to do.
You got to do it. Totally agree. I don't know when this will get released, probably end of January, early February. If you're listening, watching this, you got to do it before it gets warm. Before spring hits, you got to do this because you don't want to be in June and be like, I'm ready to do it. It's too late then. AI is moving so fast, and we actually don't even know what we don't know. There could be things that happen in the next 6 to 7 to 8 months that we're like, that's an amazing tool. And if you jump on too late, everyone else has already jumped on that train. So implement it now. Hope you guys enjoy listening to watching us today. Again, thanks for watching the Big Roost Podcast. Have a good one.